Hello and welcome to the Inverted Fullbacks podcast. This is me, Faz, and with me is Sanan. Sanan, how are you doing? What a week for you.
I've had a great week. I had a very good week. I went out to an Arsenal fan bar to watch the game, and so much fun. Everyone was jumping, everyone was smiling. I honestly, for the first free kick, I was telling my friends like, "Decker's top right, don't worry." And then, obviously, I was joking. And then he did. I was in disbelief. Like after the second free kick, the bar is like two-tiered, right? I almost fell off the railing. I was going that crazy. It was insane. I think the second free kick was better, but bloody hell! I mean, I
The
don't think I've
second free
seen
kick
like
was like, I don't think so. I've seen such a free kick. I remember Messi's free kick that he scored against Liverpool a few seasons back in UCL, and that was like top notch. Alisson couldn't do
yeah.
anything, but this one, it's like you're beating Courtois, who's like, I think he's probably the biggest goalkeeper that you have in there.
Yeah, one of the best shot stoppers in the world.
I was listening to, was it probably Ferdinand or someone who was saying that even if you put like 10 goalkeepers over there, you still wouldn't have been able to stop that.
It was so perfectly in the top right. I didn't see the still frames of it, like literally being perfect. Insane.
Love the memes they were making on Jude Bellingham because like
Yeah.
he jumped, but to no avail.
The first one you could argue that the wall was not placed well, but the second one there's nothing you can do. They could have had the whole 11 players in the wall, they would have still gone in. But yeah, like a lot of people talk about the fact that it was set pieces, but if we're being honest, Arsenal had so many chances that game. It was unbelievable. Two times the ball was cleared off the line. One time by Bellingham, one time by Alaba. The
Yeah.
Alaba one was followed by a save by Courtois. Then Courtois had a double save on the left side um, early in the game before we scored.
And
Saka
even
put like
David
yeah,
Alaba didn't have the best of matches because like Saka was running right on him.
Saka might have sent that man into retirement. But Saka just came back from injury and he was able to do that against Madrid. Against Madrid in the biggest game, of a lot of these like guys' careers. Keep in mind they're all still a lot of that Arsenal team is 23 and under, right? They're young players. No, unbelievable. I mean, if Arsenal, no, Mermino's goal was also unbelievably good, and he could have had a few more if they didn't weren't some heroics by Alaba and Courtois, but if we had a natural striker there, a bunch of those balls from Saka would have been a goal too. And Saliba also blocked the corner of the line. I don't know if you saw that one of the
Yeah, I
corner.
can't recall exactly, but like in terms of watching Mikel Merino, he's probably scored like 8 goals in the last 10 matches or something.
I
He
think it's
he's like,
6 in the last 9.
yeah, so he's like a proper striker right now. No one, I don't think so anyone expected him to perform this well in like a role that we haven't played him play before.
Yeah, I think since he starting at striker, I think only one guy, I think only Mo Salah has scored more goals than him in the Premier League, which is all unbelievable. Like, but I think it's
Egyptian king.
the bigger thing is a testament to the fact that this Arsenal team really is missing a striker, and when they get that, they'll be very, very scary team. But on the other hand, like Arsenal had a lot of injuries.
Fingers crossed
Gabriel,
for Gyökeres.
yeah, please bring him in. Is the celebration? Uh, but yeah, Arsenal had injuries. Kivior started. I think he made a small error in the first 10 minutes. Other than that, he was flawless, especially in the second half. Second half, Madrid created nothing. First half there was a few things from Mbappe and Vinny, but to me it was astonishing the way that they were playing. I mean, they were basically letting us build up to literally, into the final third with like basically no resistance. The usually teams will actually, slow down our build up, making us pass around the back for a bit. But we one or two passes and we have the ball to our wingers already, and that's exactly what you don't want against Arsenal. Like we've been struggling a lot offensively this year because teams understand that one, you need to not let us build up through the middle. And two, if you get the ball out to our wingers, you have to double them. And they were letting Alaba and Valverde go one-on-one with Saka and Martinelli, and they were getting, beaten every time because, you can't really contain these guys one-on-one. You need to double up. I don't know. I obviously don't want to be too harsh, but there was a hint of arrogance in the Madrid performance, where it was like, we're going to play this way and we don't care what you do. But you're not playing, like a team. You're playing a very well drilled team with, quality players that can make you hurt, like Rice, like Saka. So you can't play like that against them. And it was really a shocking performance. I haven't seen, Madrid play. Courtois has bailed them out a lot before, but I've never seen them in those circumstances be so muzzled offensively. Like we saw next to nothing, right? Rodrigo barely touched the ball the whole game. Bellingham had one good moment where he put Mbappe through, but other than that, you didn't see him very often. Arsenal
Brilliant
were
save
playing defensively.
from David Raya as well. That was a great save. Although not the best of shots from Mbappe, but it
Yeah.
was a great save from Raya. And even Real Madrid haven't made things easier for themselves. Camavinga got a red card right at the end, and he'll miss out on the second leg. And especially with the performance of Alaba, and as we talked about in the previous episode as well, like multiple players of them of Real Madrid are on a yellow card, so they aren't making things easier for themselves. And even I remember Tony Cruz made some comments after the match ended that he was saying something as sort of like when you lose the first leg of a UCL knockout match. So he was saying that this is the only chance for you to make a comeback, because if you win the first leg, you can't make a comeback in the second leg. So he's like trying to show that Madrid is still on course to win their 16th UCL title, with all due respect, but it doesn't seem like the way Arsenal performed that Madrid will pan out in a different manner in the second leg.
There's a couple of things to be talked about. Of course, Madrid have their thing in the Champions League, but at the end of the day, Madrid can't keep clean sheets. I know we posted a reel about me saying that they're below average defensively, but it's the truth. Like, I think, for Madrid, they keep talking about having to win 4-0 to go through. You have to score five because there's no chance they're keeping a clean sheet. And I understand it's at the Bernabeu, but they have mistakes in them. As we saw in this game, they were very vulnerable from corners and set pieces in general. And that's Arsenal's bread and butter. And yeah, Arsenal haven't conceded two or more goals in over 500 days to any team. And that's them playing Liverpool, Man City, some of the best teams in the world. So I just don't see Madrid doing it, especially in the form that they are, and especially given the defensive solidity of Arsenal. But yeah, I think the one player other than Declan Rice that I want to highlight was Miles Lewis Skelly. He is world class. Okay, he's not world class. He's young, but he's unbelievable. And every time he got on the ball, like he would muscle a Madrid player, play a perfect pass. There was one point in the game where he nutmegged two Madrid players in a row and put Martinelli through for the shot. And that actually was the sequence which led to the Alaba clearing off the line and the double save. It was unbelievable. Like you watch him play and you think like this is a experienced professional who's been on around the time. His game intelligence, the calmness on the ball. He doesn't get pressed. He's so strong for someone so young. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And like we said with Camavinga, he already had the yellow card, so he would have missed the second leg. So the red card isn't really that because I mean the yellow card meant he would have missed, but yeah, it's very interesting to see what they're gonna do with their midfield because Modric was nowhere. He couldn't deal with the physicality. He couldn't deal with the movement of someone like Rice. Rice was spinning off him the whole game. He's losing Modric the whole game. So yeah, it's very interesting to see what they're gonna do to sort out their midfield problems, which I think were kind of the core of the issue, right? Like Arsenal absolutely were dominating the midfield with the Rice, Partey, and
I
Odegaard. I
think
think that
Chomini will be back for the second leg because he was only suspended for one match, but it seems like Cruz might need to come out of retirement to save him.
yeah, I mean they're still gonna have to play Modric after the Camavinga. Maybe Ceballos. I heard he might be back, but
Th-
honestly,
There's
not to be
always this thing
disrespectful,
like
but I'm not afraid of Ceballos.
When I saw Ceballos play for Arsenal, especially against the matches against Liverpool, I just love his ball control and his skills, but he's never been consistent, I must say. Like he's
It's
never been
true.
the one who's like making assists or scoring goals. So he's not a Declan Rice sort of player, but I've always liked his ball control. It's probably just me because I also loved Thiago Alcantara, but even he was too much barred by injuries, and he always used to play less than 5 or 10 matches in a season whenever
Mm.
he was during his stint at Liverpool.
Yeah, I think just to end off the conversation on this match, like we have to talk about Declan Rice more. Like, I mean, I think that was kind of a statement performance. A lot of people tend to underrate him because of the fact that Arsenal, haven't got over the line. He was very expensive, but he's unbelievable. He's one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, and if anything, he's one of the best number eights in the world. He has, I think, 16 goals and assists this year, combined, which, for a central midfielder is great. If you compare it to people who play in his position, he's dominating them. And you put that besides the fact that he's one of the best people at recovering the ball, he's unbelievable at carrying the ball. He's an underrated passer, in my opinion. We saw on Tuesday he can really strike the ball. And he has the work rate like nobody else in the world. Like he can run up and down the pitch for 180 minutes straight, probably, and yeah, unbelievable player. I'm glad he's getting the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, so now if we move over from fangirling Arsenal, although they fully deserve it, but there was this other match between the other quarterfinal between PSG and Aston Villa, and like all three goals, like they were amazing. Like Due with the first goal, then Kvaratskhelia, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, and even the third goal, like Aston Villa did take the lead in the first half, but which was a big surprise. Paris were playing in their home, but then they came back with three amazing goals.
Big moment for Villa when they went up, especially Morgan Rogers, who's had a great year this year. He's, on the edge of the England squad, big teams are looking at him. Great to get that goal. And Nuno Mendes is actually the one who gave away the ball, but that led to the goal. But again, unbelievable goal by him. I think this reminded me of that Real Madrid Atletico game with the three unbelievable goals. The Villa goal was great, counterattack, but the three PSG goals, the individual skill, like you watch that Doué goal, and we talked about it actually when they played Liverpool. He curved one, it would almost went in, and he did it again, and this time top right. But I will say Martinez was a bit off his line in a bit of a weird position. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that, but
Martinez
yeah, what
couldn't
a goal!
he couldn't jump, he couldn't dive, he was just there stranded.
Stunned.
Yeah, he was just like Van Dijk when Doué drilled past Van Dijk and took the shot. That time Liverpool was fortunate we didn't concede, but Emi Martinez wasn't as fortunate.
I guess the difference between Alisson and Martinez, right? Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, Kvaratskhelia, he's living up to his Napoli nickname, Kvaradona. Like that was crazy. Like I think that's the type of goal which makes you feel like everyone's always like, oh, football is too, possession based, like all this stuff, these tactics ruin football. That's the type of stuff you want to see. Unbelievable. Dribbles past three and absolutely hammers it into the roof of the net. Unbelievable. And the everyone's talking about the stud flick that he does to bring the ball back onto his left foot, which by the way is an unbelievably hard skill. It's like, and it looks easy, in real time. Maybe if you don't play, football that much, you don't know, but like unbelievable skill. And then also Nuno Mendes making up for the earlier mistake. I mean, he's arguably right now the best left back in the world. There isn't a ton of competition there. I'd say, maybe Teo Hernandez or um yeah, maybe Balde. But yeah, the competition is thin, and he's really standing out. Him and Hakimi is a great partnership, but I think that tie is pretty locked up. Like I think when it was 2-1 to PSG, I think Villa had a fighting chance, especially at their home. But that goal near the end from Mendes kind of killed the game a little bit. I think PSG will progress now, and I think most likely we see a PSG Arsenal semifinal, which will be Great game.
These sort of matches where, for example, Aston Villa got the first goal, these moments bring back the away goal rule that there was in the previous season. It's still prevalent in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in North America, where Vancouver Whitecaps just went to the next round. Through the away goal rule, but within Europe, that rule has ended. So now, if we transition into the third match, which was between Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. So we both predicted that Inter Milan would most definitely progress from this encounter. I've always said that I'm not a big fan of Company, and him going from Burnley to Bayern Munich didn't make sense to me. But nice goals from Lautaro Martinez and Fratisi. Although Muller, who we did pay a tribute to last week, he's playing his last season for Bayern Munich. He did score an equalizer in the 85th minute, but then it was Fratisi who scored the match-winning goal, at least for the first leg, and it was at Bayern's home. So now they have the advantage when they'll be playing in their home.
Yeah, Bayern had a lot of chances that game. I think there was one big miss from Kane. Olise was very good. A lot of shots saved by the keeper, Jan Sommer. But yeah, it was a good game. Inter Milan doing what they do best, compact, great counter-attacking team, and they had a couple injuries. DeMarco isn't starting, who I think is one of the best left wing backs in the world. He's excellent, especially on the break. So yeah, I think Inter Milan just doing what they do best, and unfortunately Bayern Munich couldn't deal with their chances, and that's what happens. This happened to us last year against them, and looks like it's happening to them this year. So. I'll sit back and enjoy it. Harry Kane gets to go out.
And I think they're still leading in in the German league. So will this be the first title for Harry Kane? I hope they win,
Yeah.
but I think this because they didn't win the league last season. It was Bayer Leverkusen who won after Kane moved to Munich.
Yeah, you never know, but I think the gap has been closing to Leverkusen in recent weeks. It's down to 6 points, but there are only 5 games to go, so you never know. It's closer than the Premier League at least.
And if we talk about the last match, that was between Barcelona and Dortmund. So even that was quite predictable. Or if you just see this standings within the leagues, Barcelona is at the top of La Liga while Dortmund is trailing. Are they still 11th? I'm not sure. Or what?
No, they're eighth now, but
Oh,
they're
they're
level
8th.
on points with the teams in ninth and 10th, so it's
Oh,
close.
yeah. So it makes sense. It was a brace from Lewandowski, but a nice display from Barcelona. And according to many of the predictions, Barcelona is now, according to betting predictions, Barcelona is the most likeliest club to win this season's UCL. Although I'm more impressed by PSG, but we've always seen PSG falter at the last moment, even when they had Neymar, Messi and Mbappe. So this season they do look well oiled and playing. They're playing really well together. But Barcelona is the team which also defeated Dortmund 4-0, and they're the favorites for this UCL.
Predictable results. Barcelona's attack is just too much. Their creative players, the talent they have, just overwhelmed Dortmund. I think one or two things that you take away, other than obviously unbelievable performance from Yamal, Rafinha, Pedri, Fermin Lopez, Lewandowski, is, obviously everyone's very positive. I am very positive on Barcelona, but I think like if we take a second to see like what maybe were the weaknesses in that performance, and Girashay of Dortmund, he had two or three very, very good chances in the first half, right? He could have scored at least one of those. The high line from Barcelona is a dangerous thing, and what I want to see is, against a better team, maybe they get punished for a couple of those things. Definitely against, a team like Inter Milan, they likely would have. Inter Milan and Bayern Munich, sorry, and Barcelona is going to be a very interesting game because Inter Milan and that's like, two opposites, right? And like Barcelona is exactly the type of team Inter, are suited to play, and it's the type of team that, Barcelona is not suited to play, but Barcelona have so much talent, right? So that's probably gonna be the two semifinals, if they are Barcelona's Inter Milan and Arsenal PSG, are gonna be unbelievable to watch. I think, the Champions League's already been producing, and th those are gonna be great, but But yeah, again, Yamal, by the way, he got a goal and 2 assists maybe. The finish was unbelievable. Yeah, he is just special, very, very special, and really the sky's the limit for him. Um, he can literally go, as far as he wants. He can be a multiple time Ballon d'Or winner. It's really all up to him. Obviously, knock on wood, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's gonna go right. He's gonna be the probably one of the best players in the world for another 10 to 15 years. There's really not much more to say about that.
And he also said that it feels like he's playing PES these days, Pro Evolution Soccer. So we all remembered the PES games. I never liked PES. I was always a FIFA fan, but he did say this probably in the post-match press conference that these days when I'm playing it, it feels like PES.
It's good to hear that he's having fun. I mean, that's what you want for these young footballers, right? Not to get caught up in the stress, to enjoy their time. So yeah, that's great to hear. But I think we should start moving on to the Premier League, where some great news coming out of Liverpool. Not for me, but great for you.
Quite late, but it was the announcement I was waiting for now for weeks or probably months. Mohamed Salah has signed a new contract which will keep him at the club till 2027. I believe he's 32 or 33, so he's still this season he's been amazing. If you just see his numbers within a 38 game season, this is the first time someone has crossed 44 or 45 goal contributions, which includes goals and assists. So he's almost close to 20 assists. I believe the highest record is held by KDB and Thierry
Thierry
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they either have 20 assists or 22, if I recall correctly.
20.
Yeah, it's 20. So Salah provided his 18th assist today to Luis Diaz, and I was just comparing the salaries between Salah. So he's now being paid 380K, while Luis Diaz is on 55K. Liverpool have been really meager, and let me tell you another surprising fact. Curtis Jones is on 15K a week. So yeah, Liverpool have been really meager or really miser when we talk about wages. On the other hand, you see someone like Jack Grealish who's earning close to 300K, which is like very close to Salah a week. But on the same time, he's not playing week in week out. But City is there to afford the wages. But if you just talk about the most goal involvements within a single season, so the current record is held by it's basically shared by Alan Shearer and Andrew Cole, who both did 47 goal contributions in a single season, and now Salah is on 45, so he just needs two more goal contributions in the last 5 matches to break the record. Although one must remember that the seasons that they played weren't 38 match seasons, so this is the highest someone has contributed within a single season. So Salah, kudos. Now we're just waiting for Van Dijk to sign his contract.
It's a great deal for Liverpool as well. Like 2 years, I think is the perfect length. If it was a third year, you'd be worried because he'd be like what 35 or 36 then. You'd be worried maybe he'd be past it at that point. So 2 years, I think, is ideal. Obviously, it's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, like it gives you more time to develop or, buy a replacement, which is, worth a lot of money. And he just coming off one of the best scenes in Premier League history. Pay him whatever the hell he wants, right? So, but Curtis Jones on 15K is crazy. Someone at Arsenal should say we'll give you 10 times that because he's a great player. I really like Curtis Jones. But yeah, like other than that, Liverpool obviously last second winner against
West Ham.
West Ham. Yeah, it was interesting because there was an own goal in the late in the match, but then I think Robertson is the one who took the corner who Van Dijk scored, so he
Robertson was furious when Dijk. I think he made the call, but when Dijk probably didn't listen and he tried to shoot the ball, but it was Robertson through whom the ball went in. And although Van Dijk's the captain, but in those heat of the moment circumstances, Andrew Robertson was really furious towards Van Dijk.
yeah, I'm sure he'll get over it. Maybe if Van Dijk signs a new contract, he'll forgive him.
Yeah, because if you see him outside, I've seen a lot of videos of Robertson off the pitch, he's probably like the funniest guy that you'll see in the Liverpool squad. He's always making fun of others, as well as like keeping the atmosphere like really comedic and like really light. But then Van Dijk, just like 2 minutes after Liverpool conceded, I could just see it. Like when McAllister went up to take the corner, like I was telling myself, like why can't I see like Liverpool is about to score, and that is exactly what happened. A massive header from Van Dijk just a few days before he signs his contract extension. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But Salah signed his contract extension. Van Dijk's on his way, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Trent would be the third person out of
Mm.
this lot signing his contract extension. But and we might also win. We just hope Arsenal wins their next Premier League match so that we can win the Premier League at the North London Rivals
You're
Stadium.
gonna lose that game, okay? But I will say I'm happy Liverpool won because we dropped points, and I was like, if Liverpool drew or lost their game and we dropped points again, I would have been furious. But yeah, like the title race has been over for a while. Arsenal put out a rotated team as well. So I wasn't particularly surprised. I think maybe they should have had a red card, but overall, I'm not too bothered about the result. I'm more focused on our match against Madrid on Wednesday. But yeah, some other games in the Premier League. Chelsea somehow managing to draw 2-2 to Ipswich, which is unbelievable.
I was really impressed with Jadon Sancho's goal. It was amazing outside the box. Although the first goal was a lucky one for them, where Tuanzebe, the ex-Manchester United centre back, the academy graduate, he gifted the goal to Chelsea. But
Yeah.
Sancho scored a brilliant goal today.
I think regardless of the performance though, like you can't be dropping points at this point of the season to Ipswich of everyone when you're trying to get in that top four race. And like you see other teams in this race, like Newcastle beat United 4-1, City won 5-2, Villa won their most recent game as well, who's against oh yeah, they beat wait no, they beat Villa Southampton 3-0. So you can't be drawing, especially Ipswich. It's probably one of the easier games they have left in the season. And with how tight it is, it really puts a spanner in the works, right? So Newcastle now are on 56 points, which is fourth. They have a game in hand over everyone else as well. And then City 55 and then 54 for Chelsea and Villa. I think those are the only guys left in the race. But yeah, like it's starting to look tough because I think Villa have been playing better football. City are starting to click, I think, and Newcastle are just simply better than Chelsea. So what it's looking like right now is Chelsea might be playing Conference League football next year, which would be, big shame. Considering towards the start of the season they were playing so well. I think since December they've won 5 of their last 16 games, which is a hilarious drop off. Cole Palmer hasn't scored in months. Um, yeah, it's just baffling to me at Chelsea. But yeah, moving on to the other games. I don't know if you saw the Man City Crystal Palace game, but Palace went up 2-0 before City scored five. And Marmoush was looking unbelievable. I mean, on the counter, the pace, the finishing. De Bruyne scored a amazing free. Well, I think it was maybe a deflection, but or no, it wasn't deflection.
Not as good
Yeah,
as Declan Rice, but of course
nowhere near.
he had to score something once he saw
Yeah,
Rice score.
but
But it was a great free kick.
but De Bruyne was looking like vintage. He creating chances for Marmoush. City on the front foot looked good, but Villa Palace had a lot of chances. But Palace were quite open at the back, especially on the counter, and literally City were taking advantage of that every couple of seconds. It could have been more than five for them, but it also could have been more than two for Palace. But I guess it doesn't matter. It's a big result. Palace is a really good team, especially recently. So yeah, big result for City and gives me a lot of confidence for them going into the run-in, especially now that the 5 spots in the Champions League are confirmed for the Prem. Yeah. I think Villa 3-0 Southampton. Southampton already relegated. I think we talked about them last week. They're kind of finished, right? So not a huge surprise there.
And I was really surprised with seeing Dean Henderson being the captain of Crystal Palace, because I used to love him when he used to play for Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Although he was on loan from Manchester United and then he went back, but with De Gea being the number one goalkeeper, he never got the chances. But I always preferred him over Jordan Pickford. That might be my Liverpool bias, but I always liked him more. And I always used to say to my friends back home that he should be the one who should be England's number one instead of this guy from Everton.
Yeah, I'm not a big Pickford fan either. Not obviously for the Liverpool reasons, but more for I don't think he's good enough with his feet to play, you know. I think it brings the level of the team down when you have so much technical ability to have a keeper who can't play it. It, hurts their build up. I'd rather have someone even Nick Pope's not good with his feet either, but I think he's a better shot stopper. Dean Henderson's good. Ramsdale's probably the best distributor they have there. But yeah, Pickford is probably the he's just been reliable over tournaments, right? So, but
Nick
yeah,
Pope
looking,
just becomes a demon whenever he plays Liverpool. Although he's not the best with his feet, I do agree. But I believe once I think we drew against this team like 1-1, and he made like probably a dozen saves or something. I was like, why did they buy Courtois for this one match against Liverpool?
I think moving on, let's move on to a couple other games. I think the last two games from the weekend so far, I know Bournemouth and Fulham are yet to play. Tottenham, after, having a couple decent results, managed to lose 4-2 to Wolves. And, they can't even Romero has been back for weeks. Vicario has been back. I know they still have injuries, but come on. Like 4-2. Like Wolves is certainly not one of the better attacking teams in the league. They've been struggling in that department a little bit. But defensively, I can't even justify this. Like it's unbelievably bad. In the same week that Arsenal beat Real Madrid 3-0, Spurs lose 4-2 to Wolves. Unbelievable. But another shock result, I think, was Nottingham Forest losing at home to Everton. I really wasn't expecting that.
And
I'm
what a
not
goal
so,
from Decore right at the end. It was a
yeah.
first time finish from him, and he just chipped over the goalkeeper. What a finish.
Yeah, I'm not super surprised. I think we talked about this before, where Nottingham Forest are very good after they take the lead in games. And this game was nil-nil for a very long time, and Forest didn't really have the quality going forward to break them down. And, a moment of brilliance from Decore, and it's 1-0, right? So, yeah, it's interesting I think it's going to be interesting what happens to Forest next year. Their underlying numbers in terms of, XG for XG against are quite bad compared to their league position. So, they might be seen in a regression for next year, in my opinion, and a lot of their players might get picked off, considering the fact, but they are in the Champions League and they are, a big club with a lot of fans. I
Lastly,
think,
from the Premier League, did you come across the fight between the verbal fight between Nemanja Matic and Onana?
yeah, that made the Europa League a little more spicy than it usually is.
That was
But I
really like
guess, I
something
don't know
for
if you
both of
watched
them.
the game, but Matic was proved right. Onana made a big mistake in the match, which was very fun.
Onana made a really good comeback when Matic said that he's probably one of the worst goalkeepers in Manchester United's history. Onana made a comeback and said, "At least I've lifted more trophies than you while playing for the best club in the world." So that is something. He's just won the FA
Is that
Cup.
true?
Yeah, Matic didn't win anything. He was with United from 2017 to 22, I believe, but they didn't win
Didn't
it.
they win the Europa League in that time?
I don't think so. They did. And he won the FA Cup with United last season, so that's a really good comeback. But Onana should make his gloves do the talking rather than his mouth, probably.
I think you're a little bit spicy, but Matic was certainly a better and more impactful player for United than Onana has been so far. And Onana cost a lot of money. So yeah, very interesting. I think the last actually news from the Prem is that Gundogan signed a 1-year extension today as well. I think, with City losing De Bruyne and probably going Walker as well, going for a younger core, it's good to have some of these experienced players stay and guide the young guys, through to the next stage. So yeah, I think it's a positive thing for Man City.
It's a good signing, but it'll be interesting to see like most of the The experts are linking Florian Wirtz to Manchester City, but his asking price is around about close to 150 million euros, I believe. So that's like quite an amount. I'm pretty sure with Manchester City getting the amount while playing the Club World Cup, they'll be able to afford him. But then also his wages, will it be a possibility when he's having a good time at Leverkusen?
I will say I don't think 150 million is a real price. I think he's probably going to go closer to 90 to 100. But yeah, like who's going to pay that, right? And I think a lot of clubs are in the market for a, marquee attacker signing. Liverpool not anymore, but I'm sure. Actually, it is interesting because in that specific position, it's hard to say who's going to get him because Bayern Munich is overstacked in that position. Um, Arsenal probably wouldn't take him at that price. They'd probably rather spend that on a striker. Liverpool don't really play unless they want to play him as a false nine, which maybe they could do. Unlikely they get him. City is kind of the perfect place, but the interesting thing is if they get him, what happens to Phil Foden? Really, what happens? He's supposed to be the heir to De Bruyne, and I think it's quite clear that City are probably going to sign someone in that position. So it's going to be very interesting next year what happens to him. And yeah, like last thing I want to say, then we can move on to MLS is apparently Kai Havertz would be fit for Arsenal if they made the Champions League final. He's in back in doing physical training again. So he won't be ready for any of the semifinal games, but apparently we could see the former Champions League winning goal scorer. He scored the winner against. So we could see him maybe score the winner against Barcelona. You never know.
But with the form, Mikel Merino is, I don't think so anyone's remembering Kai Havertz at all.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
So now, as we head towards the last section of our podcast, it's usually the Major League Soccer that we talk about. So Vancouver Whitecaps once again a win for them against Austin FC. Austin, they have had a really good season till yesterday. They only conceded 3 goals in their first 7 MLS matches, but yesterday Vancouver Whitecaps drilled past 5 goals against them, 4 of which were from their striker Brian White. Um, he scored 4 goals and the fifth one was from Sabi, but a really great performance. But the biggest news from the week was the fact that Lionel Messi will be traveling to Vancouver later on this month. He's coming to the BC Place to play the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is the North American UEFA Champions League, just for those who are not aware of North American football. He's coming to the BC Place, and 2 of my friends have already bought tickets. One of them stood in line in like Ticketmaster for like 3 hours and got the $40 ticket, while the other one, this friend of mine from my class, she got a ticket for like $200. I think so. This would be the first time that I've seen a Vancouver Whitecaps ticket being sold for such high prices. But the reason isn't why Whitecaps. Yes, we've been performing really well in the MLS, but it's basically Lionel Messi who's coming to Vancouver. I'm heading back to Pakistan in 3 days, so I'm not the happiest. But even I wouldn't have gone if it's a $200 tickets. I'm not going. But
Really?
I don't think so, bro. Is it worth
To
$200?
see Messi. I mean, he's the thing is like you like for me, my favorite tennis player was Federer, and I always regretted never getting to watch him play live. It's a once in a lifetime. The guy's old, $200 for the in Toronto, those tickets go for 350, right? So, at $200, that's not a I probably would pay that to be honest to go watch Messi play.
So you think it's a bargain then?
He is the best player of all time.
The GOAT. So, yeah, so if we come back to Vancouver Whitecaps, they won their match against Austin and they're now the top of the Western Conference, which is a new reality for them. This wasn't the case with them if we talk about their history. For the first time, they have collected 19 points from their first 8 MLS matches. They've just lost once to the only match I went to watch Whitecaps. They lost that match, but except for that, they won 6 matches and they've drawn one match against Toronto FC, Sanan's team, whose coach Robin Fraser said that they're headed in the right direction. I'm not sure which direction he's talking about because they drew against Minnesota, the second best team in the Eastern Conference. They drew against Inter Miami, who's I think probably Minnesota's third in the Eastern Conference and Miami's second. Miami hasn't lost a match, but they've drawn a few matches, which is why they're second. And they also drew against the Vancouver Whitecaps one also. Defensively, they've been really solid, but Bernadeschi has been trying to do everything except for scoring a goal. He's been playing really well. Insigne is a bit silent these days. He just provided the assist to Bernadeschi when he scored against Inter Miami. But it's been a quiet season for Toronto till now. They're still second from the bottom, but Vancouver's been on a roll, especially with the win yesterday against Austin.
Well, you know, if Real Madrid fans think they can make a comeback, I believe in the Toronto FC comeback as well. Um, yeah, no, I don't know what the coach is talking. I think he has to be positive, you know. There are some positives, you know. It's hard to be a defensively solid team, so at times, especially when you don't have the personnel. So I mean, they're well drilled, but yeah, going forward, it's very bad, and definitely changes need to be made. But yeah, I guess, we've had a somewhat tough schedule in the last couple of while, and we've been picking up points here and there, but we still haven't won a game, and we're 8 games in the season, which is very bad. But on the positive side, maybe the Toronto FC tickets will become cheaper in the summer, so I'll go watch a game or two.
And just lastly, I came across this statement from Javier Mascherano, the head coach of Inter Miami. He said that Messi is the soul of this team. Do you agree with this statement, Sadan?
I think Messi is the soul of the league, let alone the team. I think they gave him like a stake in the TV rights or something when he joined, right?
I think he's also getting from the Spotify streams that we do. He's also getting a share from that as well.
He's a big part of the league right now. He's probably, these tickets are going for so much money. There's so much demand because he's coming to play, right? And he's that type of guy. So yeah, I mean, you get these types of profiles, it'll raise the level of, the awareness of the league in the US, and that's exactly what you want.
Look, all I'm saying is Kevin De Bruyne. Just look at the Western Conference. Don't look at the Eastern Conference.
Come to Toronto.
Just see which team is number one on the Western Conference right now. That's your next destination.
Saying Toronto is a much nicer city than Vancouver, so he has to come to Toronto.
JDB, I'm telling you, the weather over here is nicer. But that's all from us. And this conversation will continue between the debate of where to live, Vancouver or Toronto. But do share, like, and subscribe. This was all from us. I'll be traveling back to Pakistan. I hope I keep on making the reels during this week, but I'll be at least 30 hours. It'll be a journey from here back home. But do share, like, and subscribe, and we will meet you in the next podcast. Goodbye.